Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a text called Lucky Accident or Design, and let me tell you, it takes us on a pretty wild ride. We're looking at the incredibly high stakes of our very physical existence. We usually walk around completely oblivious to the invisible forces keeping us alive, but this source material, it really forces us to look up, take a deep breath, and realize just how incredibly delicate the boundaries of our world actually are.
Okay, let's dive into this. What would actually happen if the air you were breathing in at this exact moment changed by just a few percentage points? It kind of sounds like the setup for a sci-fi thriller, doesn't it? But establishing this massive, high-stakes what-if mystery is exactly where the author begins. As you'll see, our daily survival is basically balancing on an absolute razor's edge.
Section 1. The perfect atmospheric balance. The invisible formula for life.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it points out something that feels like an unbelievable miracle when you really stop to think about it. It doesn't matter if you're standing on the absolute highest freezing mountaintop or if you're exploring deep inside a cave somewhere, the recipe of the air you breathe is totally consistent. It's exactly 79% nitrogen and 21% oxygen. According to our source, this specific mixture isn't just some random planetary quirk. It is absolutely essential for keeping us alive. So the author asks us to ponder, why is it exactly like this? Is there a specific reason for this exact ratio?
To really grasp how crucial this is, we've got to look at what happens if we mess with it. The text outlines some pretty immediate, fatal consequences if either of these elements were to just increase. If the nitrogen went up, our bodily processes would literally begin to slow down until we died. On the flip side, if the oxygen measurably increased, our life processes would basically go into overdrive. We'd have a runaway pulse rate, we would rapidly wear out, and again, we'd die. It just brilliantly illustrates how shockingly delicate this everyday balance really is.
Section 2. Disastrous chemical what-ifs. A slight shift to chaos.
So the source material presents these hypothetical scenarios that are, frankly, thrilling, but also pretty terrifying. Let's do a quick, rapid-fire exploration of what would happen if that perfect 79-to-21 ratio slipped even just a little bit. Imagine the atmosphere was exactly 2/3 nitrogen and 1/3 oxygen. If that proportion took over and an electrical reaction caused the elements to combine, the bizarre result is that we'd get N2O, laughing gas, literally the exact same stuff dentists use. The author paints this wild picture here, saying this specific ratio would turn the entire world into laughing maniacs.
But let's escalate the stakes even further. What if it was just split down the middle? 50% nitrogen, 50% oxygen. Well, the source explains that this combination produces nitric oxide. And unlike laughing gas, nitric oxide would bring a swift, fatal end to literally all forms of life on Earth. It's quickly, definitively fatal.
And the chemistry actually gets even more volatile than that. See, nitrogen is the basic component of gunpowder. Oxygen, as we know, is what allows for rapid combustion. So the author points out that if this atmospheric mixture slipped out of control for just a single instant, we'd be looking at one of the most tremendous explosions imaginable. The text describes the aftermath of this massive explosion pretty simply and pretty grimly. Goodbye, world.
Section 3. The Great Prophesied Explosion. Ancient Warnings of Fervent Heat.
Here the text makes this fascinating pivot. We transition from chemical science straight into ancient biblical texts. The author impartially draws a line, connecting these highly explosive properties of our atmosphere directly to ancient prophecies of the Earth's end. Just take a look at this quote from 2 Peter 3:10. The heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. And this brilliantly illustrates how the source connects the explosive potential of nitrogen and oxygen directly to this apocalyptic vision.
The author then poses a really striking question. Could a slight change in this proportion actually trigger this event? The text neutrally suggests the idea that this prophesied global purification by fire might simply be achieved by God, very, very slightly altering our current atmospheric ratio, which would cause this massive conflagration to take place.
Let's move to and see how this builds. Section 4, Mysteries of the Ocean, the Untamable Deep. We're pivoting away from the violent, explosive fire of the sky and moving down to the ancient, poetic mysteries of the ocean's birth. The source argues that just as the atmosphere is finely tuned, the Earth's waters follow these similarly mysterious and powerful decrees. It brings in texts like Job 38:8, asking, "Or who shut up the sea with doors, when it brake forth, as if it had issued out of the womb?" The author highlights this as beautiful, poetic language used to describe the creation of the ocean itself, describing it being born, wrapped in clouds like a garment, with thick darkness acting as a swaddling band.
But obviously a massive, untamable ocean needs limits, right? much like our atmosphere needs that precise balance. The source highlights this concept of decreed boundaries, literal doors set upon the sea. Here you may come, but no further. Here shall thy proud waves be stayed. The author presents this as evidence of an incredibly powerful controlling force that holds the massive ocean in check.
And the source beautifully contrasts that ancient poetry with modern science. The author points out that even today, the scientists of this world are just utterly amazed as they learn the secrets of tidal actions. Modern science still doesn't fully grasp all the deep, underwater cataclysmic actions that affect wave patterns. Literally no naturalist on the face of the earth has completely figured out all the secrets of these swift tidal waves as they move to and fro in such mysterious ways.
Section 5. Lucky accident or design? The ultimate question.
And this brings our narrative arc right to its climax. We're zooming out from the microscopic, chemical balance of the air in our lungs and pulling back from the massive, untamable boundaries of the oceans to ask the central question of the source material. Was all this just a blind happenstance of nature or an intelligent design? So the crucial point is, when we look at the precise 79 to 21% ratio keeping us alive, the explosive potential hiding just a percentage point away, and the mysteriously bounded oceans, what are we actually seeing? An incredibly lucky accident or the deliberate hand of a designer? It's a truly fascinating look at the boundaries of our physical world and a question that definitely leaves you wanting to learn more.